Have you ever reached a moment where the life you built started to feel too small for who you've become? That quiet restlessness, the loss of curiosity, the sense that you're performing instead of living, those signals show up long before you're ready to name them. Today, Shelley helps us understand what that moment really is. This is the Your Next Success podcast, and I am your host, Dr. Carolyn Sangal. I am a life-first career coach and strategist on a mission to normalize questioning your career, because I believe each of us is made on purpose for a purpose only we can fulfill. The longer we live out of alignment with who we are, what we do best, and why we are here, the more we miss out, and the more the world misses out on what only we can give. The Your Next Success podcast is where we explore how to build a career that truly fuels your life. We talk about self-discovery, smart job search strategies, professional growth, and you will hear stories from people who have navigated big career transitions themselves, so you can create a life-first career and become your own version of authentic success, one that is aligned, meaningful, and truly yours. Today's guest is Shelley McIntyre, a reinvention partner for Gen X professionals who are fed up with corporate life and ready for something that actually fits. Shelley spent decades in tech, strategy, and consulting before realizing she had been climbing ladders that no longer aligned with who she was becoming. Her unraveling led her into grief recovery work, immersive theater exploration, and ultimately coaching, where she now helps midlife professionals reconnect with their values, reclaim their curiosity, and design a next chapter that feels like their own. She is the creator of Burn the Map, a coaching practice and podcast that guides people through the emotional truth of reinvention, identity shifts, belonging, agency, and the quiet courage to choose something different. This episode explores the deeper emotional landscape beneath midlife reinvention, the signals you notice long before you're ready to act on them. We talk about why values become louder in midlife, how competence without connection drains your energy, and what happens when safety returns and curiosity comes back online. Shelley also breaks down the moment she realized the corporate world no longer held her future and the unfolding that happened next. If you have ever sensed you are meant for something more aligned, more human, or more creative, this episode is for you. Welcome, Shelley, to Your Next Success. I'm so excited to be talking with you this morning. Seriously looking forward to this conversation.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to get to all the great work that you do now. You help a lot of Gen X people. We're going to get to that and your specialties and your focus. But can we dial it way back to childhood? Where did you grow up? I know, way back. Trying to understand, were any earlier influences or early things that you did kind of giving you a little bit of a light into what you end up doing and choosing to do now. But where'd you grow up? What was life like as a young Shelley?
Yeah, I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and then spent a stint in the prairies in this cold, desolate. It's not a wasteland anymore. I think Saskatoon is probably really nice now. But back when I was there, it was just really cold and a weird place to be a kid. But yeah, I hadn't really thought until you asked at this very moment, I hadn't really considered the connection of what I loved to do when I was young with what I'm doing now, because it seemed so unrelated.
Yep.
But when I was 11, I started doing community theater shows with adults. And I was around very talented people, and we were singing and dancing and in this intense environment where everybody would get really close really fast. Like you would develop these intense bonds with people. And I went on to then do theater in high school and choir. I sang a lot in high school. And again, we would be in these small groups where we were like glue.
Yeah.
And I really loved those environments where we were coming together to create something beautiful, but we had to know each other deeply that well.
And traditional high school, plays and all that. You're right. We had to appreciate each other's parts that they're playing, how
Yep.
their part related to our part, and how we could all create something magical greater than each one of us were. What were some of these performances, and how did you even get into that at age 11? Because that's not the standard. A lot of people don't even know that's going on, right? Unless you go and you're like, oh, there's an orphan Annie. How did she get to be orphan Annie?
Yeah, exactly.
Is she going to school? What's happening?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I took an acting class when I was young, and then it was just like that's the environment that we were in. So people would talk about auditions coming up, and there was only one big community theater in town. So I was like, this is what I'm doing now. And I guess my parents were fine with that.
What did they do for work, your parents?
My mom was an event planner. So she was always running around town, volunteering at things or organizing events. And my dad was in tech.
Huh? Interesting. I love also how sometimes family influences can help us. Well, when we're making decisions at a young age, we know what our parents have done. And sometimes there's generational lines of similar kinds of industries or focus or helping. And so that's kind of neat.
Yeah, but I think the big influence is what they both did on the side. So they were both musicians. I mean, not professional musicians, but my mom still plays the flute. Like she's been playing in a concert band for 45 years. Like it's incredible.
Amazing.
And my dad played the guitar. But when I was really young, my mom was a puppeteer. Yeah,
So-
she was with this in Toronto. She was with this junior women's opera committee that did puppet shows, like operetta puppet shows for kids, that like the kids of the people who would come and attend the opera. Being around those puppets and knowing that that was happening and hanging out in the rehearsal rooms, that like imprinted on me very early. And her taking me to theater imprinted on me very early. So that was always part of the deal in my family.
Do you play any musical instruments?
I play the piano poorly and the ukulele even more poorly. Yes.
But do you have fun while you're doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I played piano for a really long time. I took lessons for a very long time. And I think because I learned classical music, I developed a great love of classical, but I could never really sit down and just plonk something out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I didn't learn improvisation or jazz or how to like be loose and have fun with it. So I always had this like attention relationship with the piano.
Like I've got to get this right because this is how this goes.
Because I'm going to an adjudication and will be evaluated by strangers. Yeah.
Yes. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. So as high school kind of went on and you were trying to consider, whether to go to college or not, what to study, tell me a little bit about that phase and what went into it.
Yeah. So I thought the only rational choice would be to study theater in college. So I started off as a theater major. And as soon as I got into the school and I was around these other folks who were driven by their solar plexus to be in theater, like I remember being in a theater class with somebody and we were all being asked why we are here. Why are you here? And
why are you here? Even if it's like in theater at like an early...
you're 18. You don't know.
I have kids that age-ish. I'm not sure that they know. I don't know that I know, but it's fun to find out.
Right. And when you're 18, you think you know.
Absolutely. Right? Yes.
Because you know everything when you're 18. So, but I recognized like I was seeing all these fellow students and they were like, I must act. Theater is in my soul. This is the only thing I can do. And I looked around and I was like, oh no, I'm in the wrong place. I do not have the same drive that all of you have. And so I thought, I need to get out of here. So after a year, I got on a train and I moved across the country to Vancouver and switched schools and kind of leaned more into the communication side. But once I got there, then people were talking about like it was a very crazy political program. And I just didn't understand it. I was not down with it. And I thought, I've done it again. I still haven't found my place. So I bounced around a few more times, ended up getting a degree in business because it just seemed like, well, I'm here and this department is here and it seems practical and I guess I'll do this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so were you getting paid for work during any time of the collegiate experience? Did you do any internships or try it out, or just after you graduated, then what?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. I ended up in New Mexico.
Okay.
Because I followed a boy. And so moved around a bunch, ended up in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Oh,
At
no,
least it wasn't cold.
gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, in the winters, it's at 7,000 feet, so it's a little chilly, but still, it was a beautiful, beautiful place and ended up getting a business degree there. But the whole time I was at that college, I was working for them full time. So I got a job in the film school, being like the department administrator. And that was actually my first full-time job, where I worked full-time during the day and then also took classes in the evenings and fitting them in.
So were your classes free because you were working for?
I got a pretty steep discount and was very lucky to, not have to take out huge student loans.
Yeah.
Because I was working full-time for the college. Yeah.
How did that even come about that you thought that would be something fun to try?
Well, I started as a film student and I was also supporting myself. So I had to work. So in addition to working full-time at the college, I was also a radio DJ, a cocktail waitress. Like I had a ton of different jobs during that time. It was pretty stressful, honestly. Yeah.
And they're also all dealing with people in different capacities and allowing you to understand a variety of what's happening on the surface. And for those that did get close to you, deeper down and how to relate to them. So it's like you're still building these tools that are so fundamental.
Yeah. And I mean, developing relationships with people in the college was great. I had a particular relationship with my listeners when I was a radio DJ, because I did that for a long time too on the side.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily have that same relationship with me, but they felt like they knew me because they were so familiar with my voice and I was so consistent. And I remember like the cocktail waitressing was so transactional that I was terrible at it. I never loved it. I didn't have the relationships. I couldn't talk to anybody. It was just people giving me orders. And like, it was not for me.
Right. So you're still learning, because I feel like there's clues all along the path. Some of them we just kind of override and as not important, not needed. That's not what I'm supposed to do. And so we kind of go through life until we reach, hopefully, an age or a stage where like, you know what? Enough already. I just want to be different. I want to be me.
Yeah. And I will say that if that takes 30 years, it's okay.
If it takes 60, it's okay. If it takes 80,
Absolutely.
it's okay. The day that you start questioning is the day that you're giving yourself an opportunity to learn a little bit more, and nothing wrong with.
Absolutely.
There's no right time.
Yeah.
It's just what's your time, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people fall into the trap of looking back at previous decisions that we've made. Like I look at, taking particular jobs or being with particular people, and I judge the decisions of past me using the wisdom of current me. And it's not fair.
Right? Yeah. And I also went through that judging
I think everybody does. It's quite natural. Now I'm more like from a compassion. Oh, yeah. You thought that was what you had to do. I see. It's okay, little me. Come on
Yeah.
over. We're out of that
Yeah.
now, but
Yeah, and the decisions that we made when we were younger were adaptations to our environments and our upbringing, and they made complete sense.
yeah. Well, or they just seem like what you had to do. I'll think that the lens has, and I'd love to hear your view on it. My view is at any career transition or something of that sort, a lot of times people are focusing on the salary, the title, the location. Cool. And there's more below the surface that's more like, where are you in your career development stage? Are you open and 18 and everything is a possibility and you're willing to try it? Or are you 50 and you're like, no, I know who I am a bit more and I will not do that and I will do this.
Yeah.
And then there's abilities. So how were you hardwired? What are those things that give you energy? Take it away as far as how you're built. The skills, the things you spent time, effort, and energy to learn. Your interests, those fluctuate all the time. Your personal style, are you an introvert, an extrovert, a generalist, a specialist? How do you communicate? Because that can influence, again, your energy and how you're showing up at work by just being who you are and how well that's fitting into the role that you're in. Your family, the one you came from, the one you have now, your goals, your values. So my lens is like, let's look at all of these things over a set period of time and really see how they're in any one of them can influence your decision, but all the others are also coming into play. If you realize later something's missing, something's not quite right, perhaps one of those other areas needs a little light to understand.
Yeah. And I love that you kind of mapped out that whole framework so clearly because I think in hindsight, we look back and we're not really aware that some of these things were coming into play and some of them were in shadow.
Yes, at all, at all, at all. How do you usually look at that, at the framework when you're trying to help somebody? I know we're skipping. We're going to skip up, back, and around and sideways, just like a real conversation.
Good with it. I definitely start with what you value and how you know you value it.
Uh-huh.
Because, we can say, oh, I have these values, and you can, pick 5 words from a list and say, those are tidy and sound nice. But unless you can prove it out with your behavior and behavior that can be observed by other people, then you're not really living into it.
Yeah.
So, what are the values that you have that are evidence-based,
Yes,
essentially?
I see. Yeah, not just the ideal, but how well are you demonstrating that value on the regular, right?
Yeah.
So back in a few years ago, I would say I value my family so much. My husband is the most important relationship to me, and oh, I'm the mother of 2 children. I love them so dearly. That was a statement, and it was a value. And yet, what I was displaying was putting everybody and everything else work-wise ahead of those relationships, yelling at those people and expecting them to just always be there and love me anyway because I'm either the wife or the mom. And boy, they should just keep rooting for me and understand that what I'm doing is important. Reality,
What
right?
was that like to realize?
That was like a kick in the gut and the face and kind of being dragged down all at once. And kind of one of those like scary movies where you're like watching through just the cracks of your fingers because you don't really want to see what comes next.
Yeah.
And yet I'm the director and the actor in the movie. I'm making it all,
Isn't that the pits?
right? Just to
Yep.
realize. And I'm glad I started questioning it. And because, see, once you're aware, then you can choose, right? So,
And I
yeah.
think there can also be a gap between awareness and recognizing that you can choose and choosing.
Oh, for sure. That was probably a 4-year gap. How about for you? So let's catch people up. So you work at the film school, you get a cool degree and in business, and then what? At what point do you transfer out of that and then go into some other entity, and what do you choose to do in those instances?
Yeah, I followed a friend who I was living with in Albuquerque by then, and she wanted to move to Seattle. So we moved. And it's funny, I heard that you had Tigrilla Gardenia on your show not that
Know her?
long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we worked together at Real Networks 25 years ago.
Oh, how awesome. And how cool how you both have blossomed. Because sorry, can't bring her, into this space. That's cool. And had you kept up with her all those times,
Yeah.
or did you just see her on Podmatch and you're like, hey, neat?
Yeah, I've been aware of what she's been up to over the years, but we haven't kept up. It was fun to hear her on your show.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I enjoyed that. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, if you watch the video part of it, you can actually see my mind being blown at sometimes because I'm like, this is not something that I knew. Oh, wait, okay. There's an underground rave kind of party scene. What? Okay, plants make music. What? There's some magical place in the mountains. What? Like, just it was a fun. If anybody hasn't listened to that, after listening to this episode with all the wisdom and nuggets that Shelley's bringing down, feel free to do that one later. So, well, that's cool. Okay, so what was your role at Real Networks then? And
A bunch of different roles and ended up doing like content work, helping create like this animated film festival. It was just all over the place.
yeah.
It was very fun. And I went on from there to do other jobs in the tech world and then moved into a consulting role, which was also fascinating and fun at this little boutique consulting company. And
What were the problems? Like at the consulting company, what were they consulting about?
Oh, so we did a lot of work with Bill Gates and also the Gates Foundation. So we were looking at really big systemic issues in, financial services for the poor in Africa and global agriculture and education and social services. Like it was all over the map, but it was fascinating. It was fascinating work.
And seems like you could kind of draw the line between what you're working on actually is making a difference and impact and has value. Or is that just my
That's the
rose-colored
hope.
glasses?
That's the hope.
Okay. And then it's still a corporate environment?
This is the other kernel of what I'm doing now, I believe.
Okay.
So one of the things that I noticed when I was working in consulting and frankly in my previous tech jobs too, is that we would work for a long time on creating some kind of strategy or some kind of product that could be rolled out and solve a lot of problems. And so, for example, we would work on a strategy for a year with the leaders of an organization. And then we would go roll it out to employees, and employees would say, no, thank you. And we would say, what? No, this is a really good strategy. It's totally research backed. We've been working on it for a long time. And the employees would say, you didn't include us, so we're not going to implement it. And I thought, oh, what is happening here? They're resisting so hard that there's something to pay attention to here. And I started getting really interested in the nature of resistance and what resistance is demonstrating. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized that they were grieving. And yeah, go ahead.
Tell me a little bit about that. So typically people think about grieving like losing your parent, losing a pet, And it can be losing a job. And in this case, seems like it can be losing control or losing the opportunity to have your voice heard, et cetera, et cetera. This is something that many people just completely gloss over, don't even acknowledge. It's not in their awareness. So help bring this to light, Shelley.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, at the very basic level, when we think about grief, we might think about losing a person. So, yes, that person's physical body might not be in your presence anymore. But what is it that you really are losing in that moment? You're losing connection with them. You're losing familiarity. You're losing the ability to touch. You're losing your ability to have banter with them. You feel so comfortable, right? There's so many different aspects to that loss. And when we think of something in the work environment, it really, like, I love using self-determination theory. It's such an easy shorthand to explain why grief shows up everywhere. So in self-determination theory, we need three things to feel content as human beings: a sense of competence, feeling good at something; autonomy, having agency or control over our decisions; and connection,
Yep.
just connection with other people. And in a work environment, if you are foisted with a strategy that you have to implement, or something is canceled, or there's a layoff, like, there's a lot of work environments that can mess with all of those aspects. Let's say I am trying to roll out a strategy and you don't want to do it. You're looking at that saying, hey, if I start doing this new thing, my job is going to change and I'm not going to be good at the new thing that I have to do. So my competence is being threatened. You're telling me what to do, so automatically my autonomy is being threatened. And my team might change. And my connections will be threatened too. That's three potential major losses that I would have to grapple with. And my whole wiring is for loss aversion strategies. So I'm going to do everything I can not to experience the feelings of loss that you're about to create for me. So I'm going to say no.
Imagine what your life would be like if your career aligned with who you are, what you do best, and actually fueled the life you want. At Next Success, we support all ages and stages through career transitions, from students exploring majors or careers to job seekers actively searching or reimagining their next move to professionals committed to self-awareness and leadership growth. Stay connected and explore what's possible at nextsuccesscareers.com and follow Next Success Method on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
And so from that mindset of loss and threat and the unknown, that mindset is the fear-based instead of the, like, what if this unlocks everything? So then how did you then learn to guide people from the fear and the loss into possibly an opportunity and embracing this beautiful thing that's been hoisted upon that many other people worked on for over a year without their knowledge?
Yeah. I think this kind of comes back to values, right? If we're feeling so fearful, it might be like trying to leap from very dry sand. Like, we don't have the foundation that we need of self-trust and self-belief. So if we can go back to values and the essence of who you know yourself to be when you are operating at your very best, and build this foundation that feels stable so that you know that you're safe, then you can afford to be curious. Because if you're feeling threatened or burned out, then you don't feel safe somewhere inside of you. And safety is a prerequisite for curiosity. So we need to build up those resources internally to build that safety, which allows us to layer on confidence and curiosity. And that allows us to explore the next thing.
So how do you do that? How do we build it? How do you identify? How do you build, right? Because there's so many, every behavior is a reaction to an unmet emotional need. And so especially in a highly analytical, data-driven tech world or STEM world, which we came from, how do you unlock that human thing that's not just performance data? It's the underpinnings of your well-being, your
Yeah.
relationships.
I mean, in addition to values, I always take people through an essence exercise where I have them go out to other folks that they know well and ask them, what am I like when I'm operating at my best? And they will tell these beautiful stories about that person. And that shows us, that gives us some evidence, again, because we're going to be data
Yep.
driven, about who you actually are at your most, joyful and productive and flowy, right?
Mhm.
So we get some of that evidence. We do a values exercise. We might do some other assessments to sort of build the slurry that will become the foundation. But then another really important thing, and especially this comes for people in the corporate world, we need to look at the assumptions that we've been making about who's in control. What
Yeah.
power have you been giving away for a really
Yep.
long time? Because the system has been designed this way
Mhm.
for you to give your power away. It operates because of that.
Mhm.
So if we can see that we've assigned a parent role to our managers and our companies, and we keep expecting our parents to take care of us, then we're going to be continually disappointed and resentful. So we need to look at all the bits of control we've given away, where our competency truly lies. And if we have the opportunity to exercise that competency, like I talk to a lot of people who are very good at budget spreadsheets, very good at them, and they hate them beyond measure. So believing there's a
Yeah.
misalignment to deal with.
Yes. Yeah. You can do something, you can do it really well. You can even get awards. You can be recognized for all of those things. And just because you do it well doesn't mean you have to continue to do it or that that's your only thing that you do well.
Yeah. And there can be a great sense of emptiness and loss if you're mainly exercising your competence on things you don't like.
Absolutely. And it's
Yeah,
okay if you used to kind of like it and now you don't anymore. That's
that's
okay too.
right. That's
You
right.
know?
And then this is where people who come to me say things like, I used to really love the guitar, and I read a lot of magazines about car repair, but I don't have time to repair cars.
Yeah, because that's
But all of these
frivolous.
they're all
Yeah.
signals. They're all
Yes.
little twinkles for us to
Yes.
pay attention to.
Yeah. And especially if let's say somebody's experiencing that right now and something just flashed of, oh, I did used to like this kind of thing. I love experimenting. What if you experimented and tried it for an afternoon, or what if you tried it for an hour? And then how do you feel after it? Do you have more energy or not? Are you kind of
Yes.
excited? And can that propel you? Sometimes that's the thing too. People will come to me. Some change their jobs, some open a company, some just continue doing what they're doing. But then they may build in other outlets outside of what they're supposed to do and have fun things that they can do that then give them enough momentum to continue on with the thing that they decided they need to keep doing for X period of time for Y reason.
Yeah, I love that. And that kind of points to the idea of like how much work does your work have to do? Are you making your job be your BFF? Like, does it have to be your everything and your sun and the moon and the stars? Or can we take some pressure off of your job to deliver all of the positive emotions, all of your relationships, all your sense of meaning, your sense of purpose? Like, can we relieve some duty
Yes.
from the work so that you
Yes.
can find what you love outside and your work we can have some separation, some boundaries are possible in that world.
Yes. Who am I if I am not what I do? That was a question that I had, right? And
Oh
so
yeah.
now part of what I am trying to do when somebody is ready and aware and willing and wanting to take themselves on the journey of them, who they've been their whole life, by the way, but unlocking. But how can we make a vision for what you want your life to look like first? And then how can your career fuel that life?
Yeah.
Whatever that is, whatever your vocation, whether you're paid or unpaid, but how can you make it, design it for you that you are ultimately in control of who's getting your time, effort, and energy, and how you're recovering your time, effort, and energy so that you feel you're fulfilled on your own first. Right?
Yeah.
Oxygen mask on you, then help others. And did that ever seem counterintuitive to you? Like when I was a let's say 20 something, no children. I'm like, well, duh. Of course you'd put your oxygen mask on yourself first. Who would think of that? And then one of the first couple times that I flew with little people that I helped create, I was like, wait, what? What do you mean put it on
Yeah.
me? Like I have to give everything, all of me to this person because I'm now this role that they're counting on. And I forgot, or I consciously chose not to count on myself and give until there was nothing left to give. And then I didn't even know who I was. Did you ever have something
Sure,
like that?
because especially in the corporate world, we're all rewarded for that selflessness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
boy, even the word selfless, it requires the complete absence of myself.
Yeah.
Okay. But I remember getting kudos from managers for sending work emails at 2 a.m.
Yep.
Oh, I see your dedication. Really impressed.
Yeah.
Like, what? No.
Yeah.
But of course, years can slip by in that mode because we're rewarded for it. We're given all of this validation, and we're also in the trenches with other people who are doing the same thing. So it's normalized.
Yes. And so what were some of the triggers or experiences that you went through where you shifted from working for others to now working for yourself? What was your story in that time?
Well, I started being not very good at my job anymore. I
Explain that. Yeah.
wasn't as dedicated as I once was. I noticed that I didn't have the curiosity needed to do a job well. Like I would get into a particular role and I would see my coworkers reading strategy books at night and reading all the business books, and I didn't want to read any of them. I didn't want to learn the stuff that I really needed to learn.
Was it the same feeling as the theater days when they were going and asking why the people were in theater school? And oh, these people are slightly different than how I'm feeling and
Yeah,
experiencing this?
I think there was a little bit of that where, these new people would come into the company and they had their fresh MBAs and they knew so much more than I did just about the business world and new trends and how to do analytical blah 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 and I did start having I'm not like them.
Yeah. I think they're also trying to prove themselves a bit. And you're more like, maybe you're no longer proving and now you're just embracing and becoming.
Yeah, that could be, but I also saw that they loved it. They really loved what they were doing and they were really interested and curious. And
Gotcha.
it was the curiosity part that I was cueing into more. Like I would get into a role and instead of doing everything that I could to learn about how to do that role well, I would just panic.
What did it show up? What is panic besides a word? How did it materialize for you?
Oh, a lot of complaining to friends and family about my job, a lot of just inner swirl, oh God, I'm not doing this well. I'm going to be found out. There's a little imposter syndrome that comes up, but none of the action that could have helped in those moments. I didn't want to. And that had to come back, come down and realize oh, I'm not learning because I don't want to. And once that was lodged in my brain, I thought, I gotta go. I have to go. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but it's time to go.
And so did you choose to leave? And how long between that realization and leaving for you?
I took a sabbatical in before my last year, and I started really getting out there and investigating areas that I thought were interesting. And that kind of brought me back to like the world of immersive theater and who was doing cool stuff and what meaningful conversations were happening out in the world. And I met people in the death care community because I kept looking for people who are having the most meaningful conversations. And it turns out that they're the people who work in death care.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I met all these cool people, and I gave 6 months notice at my job because I was a principal at the company. It was going to take a lot of unwinding to have me leave. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to explore this world of grief. I'm going to maybe explore immersive theater, but I'm going to take some time off. Maybe I'll get another job. I didn't really have a clear plan. And then my last day was at the start of the COVID lockdown.
I want to get to that. But also I want to get to this, like, what does it mean I took a sabbatical? Like, were you working at a college? Professors get to take a sabbatical where they just get, after working a long time, and then they get to go do some fun thing. Like, does take a sabbatical mean you said something and somebody paid you to go explore and do stuff on your own? Or take a sabbatical like, I invested and screw the money, I'm just going to do me? Help me understand a little more on what that.
Yeah. So some companies now, after a certain number of years of service, will give you like 4 weeks off.
Oh, wow.
And they call it a sabbatical.
And so how long was your sabbatical?
Mine was a month, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like, is that enough? But hey, it's a cracking open. All right, that's cool. And that's in addition to, because you had reached some level that was in addition to regular vacation, you got to have this extra fun perk as a thank you so much, atta girl, for all the 2 a.m. emails.
Such an incredible benefit that, I mean, yeah, my husband's company does that too. Every 5 years, you get a month off.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool. So I traveled all over the place and went and saw tons of theatrical performances, and it was great. I did a lot of traveling in my sabbatical.
What are some of your favorite, like, if you had to have your top 3 performances, theatrical performances, that if they were playing anywhere within a 4-hour radius, you'd be like, I have to go see this again?
Yeah, and it's going to be ones that no one has ever heard of and will never be staged again, but I'm going to say them anyway.
Okay.
I flew to London to go see, so you remember the movie Casino Royale, the James Bond movie?
Yeah.
There was an immersive theater production of Casino Royale where they built a set in a airplane hangar outside of London that replicated sets from the movie that you could walk through. Like there was a boxing ring with people doing fights in the boxing ring. There were like casino tables where you could play poker. And there was the MI6 control room, and you were all put on teams and you had to navigate around. And then at the end, you kind of file into this other auditorium where they screen the entire original movie, but it's supported by actors acting out some of the scenes in tandem with what's on the screen. Like, it was incredible.
Cool.
It was an incredible production. I'll never forget it.
That's so cool. I didn't know that kind of thing. Yeah. I need to look up immersive theater, forget plant music. Let's go to immersive theater right now.
So that was a big scale one. So I saw things of many different sizes. That was a huge scale. Like, we would be taking the train from London out to this venue. And because we all had assigned costumes and insignias, it was like a black tie thing. We could see when everybody was getting on the train and which teams they were on, and we would start making connections on our way to the venue. It was just a beautifully
so beautiful. It was
it was a beautifully planned event Do you know Priya Parker and her Art of Gathering book?
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is right around, like, because it's about to be Thanksgiving in the US in a couple days. And a few years ago, I was introduced to that and I was like, yes, I want to set my intention and forget the food. There will be food, but that's been ruling not just my Thanksgiving, but other things of
Yeah.
let me enjoy these people here and
Yeah.
be
And I think it's
present. Yeah.
something that a lot of theater producers do very well. They follow a lot of the guidance from the Art of Gathering, helping people feel really welcomed and cultivating a sense of belonging and curiosity. Like they do it all.
Oh, that's
So the
beautiful.
Casino Royale was the big scale production. I went to Los Angeles for a small scale production where I was the only audience member.
Oh,
And it
interesting.
was this kind of show in a house where I was not working. I was participating with the creator of the show who did a scent-based storytelling performance where it was it was incredible. Like we would tell a story together and it would be accompanied by particular scents. And at the end, like I had created a custom scent profile
Wow.
and then they made a candle out of it and sent it to me. And I had that for years.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool. I mean, that's
There
also
are,
part of an element of storytelling, right? So it's like, what did you see? How did it feel? What did you smell? Like, and so now if you're in something like that and you're in the story as it's being created, and then they give you a souvenir for like, what? How powerful? Wow. I'm also kind of feeling like, who else used to work at real networks and what do they do now? Because
I will tell you,
this is
honestly, I
mind-blowingly awesome.
like 2 weeks ago, I facilitated an evening for the women of real networks. We are still connected 25 years later. There are 20 of us in the room. And, we did we worked through some exercises about planning our third acts. But these, we call it in Seattle, we call it the real mafia because the people from that company have gone on to the most fascinating, incredible
Yes.
careers and lives.
I have a data set of 2. And I'm like,
I can
there's
connect you with 5 other people who'd give
I
you
would
amazing
love
reviews.
it. I would just love it just from my sheer fascination with people, their lives, their stories, and all the amazing things that I never even knew could be thought about. That not only could you think about, but some people have done and focused parts of their lives on it. It's like, what? That's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, thank you for sharing a bit about those kinds of things and mental note immersive theater. Look into that. Okay, so now it's COVID. You've decided you're leaving to go out on this bold journey of building, and did you like full force be like, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, build my own thing? Or did
No
you just
way.
say, I just can't do this anymore and I'm
Yeah.
gonna do something else and I'm gonna figure it out as I go? What was your
Yeah. I was ready for a little break. So my plan had been take a break and do a bunch of traveling and see some more
oh
shows and then maybe look around and see if there's a job that I might like. And then everything grinded to a halt, of course, as we all know.
yeah.
And so I thought like, well, I guess I'm learning how to make yogurt and cleaning all the filters in the appliances in my house. And I guess I'm sewing face masks. I sewed, remember before we had
Yes,
like
yes, yes.
N95?
Yes, and
Yeah, I
did you
sewed
Marie
like,
Kondo? I had Marie Kondo was around that phase too, right? Or was she the year before? But I started folding my stuff vertically.
oh,
I'd
nice.
already knew how to make yogurt. My husband's from India originally, so we went through that phase. And sewing the masks, I wanted masks and I supported other people who sewed them. That was it.
Yeah, I sewed hundreds of those masks for frontline workers.
Had you sewed before?
Yeah, I'd sewn a little bit, but
Yeah.
boy, I sure got good at some of that
Yeah.
in that
Hey,
time.
who knows? Okay, so That's interesting. And then what happened?
Well, because I had the time and I couldn't go anywhere, the people that I had met the year before in the death care community, they were like, "Hey, Shelley, there's this there's this grief recovery program that you can get trained in pretty quickly, and I think you should do it." And I was like, "Okay." So I took a few online training courses in this thing called the grief recovery method, which helps people navigate through loss in a pretty set program where
Yeah.
you work through particular exercises and it helps you kind of release some of the feelings of loss that might be sticking. And I did a couple of training programs there, got involved in that community, and then started working with clients through COVID on grief recovery. And that was
And was
great.
their grief all focused on losing some sort of person, or was their grief different flavors? Career,
It was
work?
mostly people. Some people worked through divorces. And then, you know, because it was named grief recovery, most people associated with the loss of a person. So
Yeah.
that's mostly what I did. But after a while, people were like, "Okay, listen, I've worked with you for a few months. I feel better. And now I'm ready to take on some bigger transitions in my life." And I said, "Please hold. I
Yeah.
don't know how to do that yet." And then I decided to go to coaching school for a year. Because I thought, all right, I don't want to go back to school for 5 years to become a therapist. That doesn't feel like it's the right move for me right now.
Right.
But I knew a few coaches who were brilliant and amazing, and I thought, I want to do this right. I don't want to go to like a fly-by-night school. So I found a coaching school that was a year long, and again, it was like the theater vibe where I found my new tribe,
Yeah.
where we got to know each other deeply and quickly, and we were building something together. And I thought, like, oh, this feels like, I don't know if I want to be a full-time coach forever at the end of this, but I love this.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so then how has that grown after you've had your grief training, that community supporting that? Now you have this coaching foundation, and now dun, da, da, da.
Yeah. And what I think I noticed, well, first of all, grief was such a great way to start because it's part of every transition,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We lose something in every transition that we go to, even if it's a good one.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I just started paying attention to who was coming to me for help. And it turns out it was a lot of people in midlife, a lot of Gen Xers who were coming and saying, I've turned 50 and I don't care anymore. And I've forgotten what I like.
Yeah.
Help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I already knew that I wasn't really down with being an executive coach because I just saw how broken all of the corporate systems were. And like, I couldn't get behind it. So I thought, well, I'm just going to double down and we're going to get people out of there.
And so, yeah, what's been some of your favorite experiences, most memorable ones of how you've helped people overcome or become?
Yeah. And, like you, not all of my clients go out and start companies. Some people stay where they are and have a completely different attitude about what the company has to do for them. And they find their kicks outside.
Yeah.
I do have clients who have switched industries. I have one client who came to me without knowing what she was going to do, and she ended up writing a book during our year together, which was an incredible experience. Another guy was kind of looking for jobs when he came to me, and now he's fundraising for his startup. So I get to learn so much alongside them.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite things. Like, I didn't know that I was going to learn so much about ballroom dancing and large language models and AI and, how particular companies work. It's so cool to learn all of this stuff alongside my clients too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that as well. And how have you been feeling since doing this work on your own and helping other people? Like, describe corporate Shelley who was starting to not be curious anymore. What did that feel like versus Shelley, the amazing, awesome, life, grief, everything, Gen X, burn the map. Let's get us a new map.
Yeah.
Coach. Yeah.
I will tell you by way of describing my wardrobe.
Okay.
So back in the consulting days, I had a lot of severe black outfits. I spent a ton of money on clothes. I wanted to look intimidating. I had intimidating haircuts. And I was basically armored all of the time. I remember I worked at that company for 7 years before ever wearing jeans. Yeah. So that was the armored way that I presented myself. And it worked for a really long time. It really worked. And now, like, I can't wear black. That is far too harsh. I can't have anything with a collar up to here. That's not welcoming.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
can we like optimize for connection with other people? So everything is a lot softer. I'm still myself. I mean, I can still go out and be hard charging if I need to, but I don't really need to.
Yeah.
And that feels nice.
Freeing, joyful. Has the joy come back? Like, I feel like I put my joy on a shelf for a while and I just kind of occasionally would dust it, but I never really opened it. Like those kids
Yeah.
back in the day that got toys and they just kept them in the box. Those kids thinking they're going to be worth something. Yeah. But yeah.
I had a colleague say to me once, I've just I've decided that joy is for other people.
Oh.
It just broke my heart.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot I do now that is joyful in my life. Love being in conversations with clients. I love witnessing their transformations. It's like a drug. It feels really great.
Mm.
And just being able to witness somebody learning so much about themselves and having these moments where they're like, "Oh, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to do that anymore."
Yeah.
Is so great.
Mm.
And you know, I love this activity that I do called Dance Church, which is
Do you
a
tell?
fitness class run by a professional dancer.
Okay. What's
It's
the church
incredible.
part of it? Like, it's just.
It started on Sunday mornings. That's all. Bunch of dancers wanted to work out together. Yeah.
That's fun. Oh, that's fun. And you have a podcast now too.
And I have
Tell
a
about your
podcast.
podcast. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, called Burn the Map. And I really love it's 8 minutes long. And I dive into one singular topic. And it's usually around like identity and the shift of identity from who you thought you had to be to who you can be in the future and always were, really.
I love it. I love it. Are you going to keep it in that format or are you ever going to have guests and get their side?
Oh, yeah,
too?
I'll play around with it. I'm thinking about switching it up a little in the new year.
Yeah.
But right
that's
now
fun.
it's just me talking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I listened to a couple of those as well. Highly recommend. That link will be in the show notes as well. So,
Thank you.
how do people find you?
Yeah, they can find the podcast wherever there are podcasts and it's called Burn the Map. And my website is burnthemapcoaching.com.
And authentic success is something that I try to help people unlock. And that's whatever it means to you, no longer somebody else's definition of success. How do you define authentic success in this moment?
I define it as fulfilling what aligns best to your values and your essence and no longer following a map that somebody else drew for you.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Shelley, so much. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours and days and months and years. Thank you for this hour. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom, your story, your strength, the beauty of the things and the lives that you serve now. Thank you so very much.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Shelley, thank you for bringing clarity, warmth, and depth into this conversation. Your story helps us understand the truth inside midlife reinvention. The grief, the values work, the longing for belonging, and the possibility that returns when we choose alignment over performance. Your presence and your wisdom offer a grounded path for anyone sensing that their old map no longer fits. I am grateful for the work you're doing and the voice you bring to this space. Thanks for listening to Your Next Success with Dr. Carolyn Sangal. Remember, authentic success is yours to define and includes aligning your career to support the life you want.